Good day, students. My name is Idowu Olufumilayo, a biology teacher from Lagos State Model Senior College, Miron. Today, we'll be looking at the topic reproduction. And as we are all aware that by now, we should have finished our scheme in our various schools in preparation for the forthcoming WAEC. So we're going to be doing more of revision here, and we'll look at some questions that has been asked in the past by WAEC. We will look at how those questions are expected to be answered in order to have our full marks. Reproduction. What is reproduction? Reproduction is the act of giving rise to a new organism of the same species. Please, students, when you are asked to define reproduction, ensure you put the word of the same species. If you don't put the word of the same species, words of the same species, then you will be marked down. Your definition is inconclusive without those two words. Now, we have two types of reproduction. We have the sexual and asexual reproduction. As the name implies, sexual involves gametes. It is a type of reproduction that occurs as a result of fusion of gametes from male and female to produce a zygote, which give rise to a new organism. In this type of reproduction, two individuals are involved. Then we have the other type, called the asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the type of reproduction in which new organisms are produced from only one parent. In this type of reproduction, there is no gamete formation, no fusion of gametes, there is no fertilization, and only one parent is involved. And I want us to know that the objective of reproduction is for continuity of life. Without reproduction, every life would have gone into extinct. Reproduction is a feature or a characteristic of all living things, be it plants or animals. Now, having known the two types of reproduction, let us look at what sexual reproduction is in detail. We have two types of sexual reproduction. We have the conjugation and fertilization. Conjugation, it involves exchange of material from one organism to another. In this organism, you cannot precisely say this is a male or a female. But we know that gametes usually move, or the content of one will move into the other in order for fusion to take place. And examples of organisms that exhibit conjugation are Spirogyra, Paramecium. You also have it in Obelia. Then the other one is fertilization. Fertilization occurs in higher organisms such as plants and animals. In fact, all mammals exhibit fertilization, and fertilization involves the fusion of male and female gametes to produce a zygote, which eventually develops into a new organism. Now, let us look at types of asexual reproduction. We have quite a number of asexual reproduction. Today, we will be talking about budding. Budding involves the development of a new organism from an outgrowth from the parent. The parent simply develops an outgrowth, and this outgrowth eventually becomes cut off and they develop into a new organism. And during this process, the nucleus divides first. The outgrowth develops a nucleus because there is no way an organism can exist without a nucleus. Then we have another form of asexual reproduction, that is fission. As the name implies, fission, breaking of an organism, of a parent cell, into two or more. When an organism divides into two, it is called binary fission. When an organism divides into more than two, it is called multiple fission. And another name for multiple fission is schizogony. We find fission in organisms such as amoeba. We also find it in paramecium. Hydra also divides during reproduction in order to provide a new organism. Then we have another form of asexual reproduction called spore formation. Spore formation is a type of asexual reproduction that occurs in fungi. Fungi are saprophytes, organisms that derive their nourishment from dead, decaying organic matter. So what they simply do is they produce spore in a rounded-like structure called sporangium that is held in place by what is called hypha. When the spores mature, they simply burst open to liberate their contents, which is spores. And these spores, when they fall on suitable substrates, life continues. And that is why you have spores virtually everywhere. They are light and they are easily carried away by winds. Another form of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. As the name implies, a part of an organism simply breaks into fragments, which develops into a new organism. Organisms such as a green filamentous algae called Spirogyra fragments. Sponges also breaks into fragments. And we also have another organism called coelentrates. These organisms also reproduce by fragmentation. Then we have vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is a form of asexual reproduction. And we have different types of vegetative propagation. We have cutting. Cutting involves simply cutting part of a stem of a plant and ensuring that the plant has at least two nodes. Nodes are points where new roots develop. And these two nodes must be very close to the area that is very close to the ground. That immediately when you plant such stem cuts, they develop into a new plant. And these new branches develops from the nodes. Then we have marcotting. Marcotting involves getting a new plant from a parent plant by simply making a ring of tissue around the stem. You pick a branch from a growing plant, make a ring of tissue and tie nutrient materials around it. And a new roots will develop around that place because you must have added humus. And when roots develops, it is cut and a new plant is gotten from there. All you need to do is to just plant it. Students, I think we'll have to take a break here and we'll continue during our next lesson. Thank you. Is also another type of vegetative propagation. all you need to do is to pull down a branch, allow it to touch the ground, root develops, and a new organism develops when you cut and you plant. Budding and grafting are also types of vegetative propagation. All the various methods of vegetative propagation that I have mentioned are referred to as artificial vegetative propagation. We have the natural one, which involves the use of modified underground stem, such as rhizome as found in ginger, corm as found in cocoyam, bulb as found in onion. Then we have the use of fleshy leaf as found in bryophyllum. If you are propagating bryophyllum via the leaf, all you need to do is to allow the edges of the leaf to touch the soil. Root develops and a new plant sprouts from there. It is important for us to look at few WAEC questions and see how students are expected to answer these questions in exam. Take, for instance, if you are asked to differentiate between sexual and asexual reproduction, the first thing you'll do is you make sure you tabulate. If you fail to tabulate, you will be marked down. These are some of the things that we examiners look at while marking biology scripts. Now, and when you are differentiating, your points must correspond for you to score. If your points are all correct and they don't correspond, you end up losing all the marks. So it is important for you to tabulate anytime you are asked to differentiate between two things, and your points must correspond to score. That is, whatever you talk about on side A must be what you talk about on side B. Now, looking at this question, which happens to be a WAEC past question, differentiate between asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, one parent is involved, then the corresponding difference will be two parents are involved in sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves no formation of gametes, while sexual reproduction involves formation of gametes. No fertilization in asexual reproduction, while fertilization occurs in sexual reproduction. Remember, we said it involves the fusion of gametes. Offsprings are identical. All the offsprings that are gotten from asexual reproduction are just like the parents. They are the carbon copy of the parents. But in sexual reproduction, offsprings are might not be identical, that in most cases are not identical, because you have two different sex cells or gametes coming together to form a new organism. Then, asexual reproduction involves faster mode of reproduction. If you are propagating asexually, it is possible for you to have large number of offsprings via via asexual reproduction, while under sexual reproduction, it is not like that. A woman can conceive to give birth to 1, 2, 3, but not as much as a plant where you can have like 50 or 100 at a time during reproduction. Now, if there is another question, if you are asked to state the disadvantages and advantages of vegetative propagation, this is also another WAEC question. These are some of the answers that you can give to earn you full mark. Advantages of vegetative propagation. Young plant uses reserve food of the parents. Immediately young plants are produced, somehow they still use part of the food from the parent until they are fully developed and they can now photosynthesize. Then growth is rapid. Before you know it, if you want to propagate via vegetative propagation, your crop, if it is a crop or a plant, the thing is grown. Unlike sexual reproduction that will involve gestation period and all that. Then desirable characters are retained. while offsprings are identical to the parents. And I need to tell you, when you are answering a one-word answer, your spelling must be correct. We mark spellings in biology, most especially if it involves the use of technical terms. Thank you.